Now let us consider the following from Brother Jabril Muhammad, as recorded in this book. I think I have it right here. This is the one, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We need not look for another. And this is the third edition of that book. He states, one day in the early fall of 1931 in Detroit, Michigan, Messenger Muhammad heard from his brother Charlie that there was a man teaching things he ought to hear. Charlie was excited. Among the things the man was teaching was Islam. At that point, the messenger had the wrong idea of Islam. He would later say that he thought it was a heathen religion. However, he was told enough to want to meet the teacher and hear his teachings. He also felt that this was the one he was expecting. He was told that the man's name was Mr. W.D. Fodder and that he was teaching a few people in a basement. Elijah rushed to the place but did not see him. He was told the man was there earlier. He went to other meetings held there and elsewhere, but continued to miss him until the night of the 22nd of September. He, the messenger, was eager to see and hear Mr. Fard because he had a strong feeling of this man's identity. As soon as he saw and heard Mr. Wallace D. Fard, he knew him to be the one the world had been expecting for the last 2,000 years. It came to him that the man he beheld was the very man expected by the prophets and others who would come in and under many good names, Jesus included. That which Mr. W.D. Fard said and did at that meeting convinced the Honorable Elijah Muhammad of the truth of his identity. The messenger would later say to his followers and to the world that the first thing that struck him about Mr. Fard was that his words and actions tallied with the Bible's prophecy about what the coming one would say and do on his arrival. Mr. Fard began speaking on the origin of things. He went on to teach of the measurements of the earth, its weights, the distances between the earth, the sun, and other planets. He spoke of their rotation, measurements, and so on. Now, why are we taking time to address this essential and seminal aspect of the history of the lost found nation of Islam in North America? Well, I want to make 2 points in answering that question. The first point, in this book, unqualified commentators scrutinizing the opponents of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, the Messiah. That's what this book is about. Well, I describe in this book an upcoming ploy of the Synagogue of Satan, the satanic families that represent the Synagogue of Satan and all the devils attached to them. I describe the ploy of how they intend to the ploy of what they intend to use in their epic attack against the Honorable Louis Farrakhan in particular, but it'll involve Master Fard Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam as well. I explain in this book how a litany of so-called Caucasian and black experts on the Nation of Islam will dominate the major news channels to spread virulent lies about Master Fard Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Now, some of these professional liars have already written books about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and about the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam in general. So let me solidify this fact in light of what we just read from Brother Jabril Muhammad. Now, what I'm about to read comes from a book written by a Mr. Herbert Berg, who is a professor, PhD, of philosophy and religion at the University of North Carolina. He states, according to one account, Elijah Poole, that was the name the Elijah Muhammad had before he met Master Fard Muhammad. Elijah Poole was introduced to this new teacher, Master Fard Muhammad. The parentheses is mine, that's who he's referring to. He was introduced to this new teacher, Master Fard Muhammad, via his father, who had heard about him from his friend Abdul Muhammad, a former follower of noble Drew Ali. Another account suggests that Elijah's wife introduced him to the movement in the hopes of curbing his use of alcohol. In any case, Elijah Poole and his brother were instructed by Abdul Muhammad before they sought out Master Fard or Fard Muhammad himself. Now, no doubt, this is a completely contrary to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated himself. It's contrary to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote himself about those events, again, we just described by Brother Jabril Muhammad. So this is a prime example of the nature of the Caucasian people as natural liars and deceivers. And the more educated ones are the more sinister and devious ones among them. We need to keep that fact in mind.